I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roger, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1,
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Well, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we get weird. Except sometimes when you just watch the news cycle, you don't have to get weird. It gets weird for you. And that is really what Troubled Minds is all about, because hyper-reality, it's clicking, it's setting in. All the bizarre things we've talked about over the years seem to manifest in one way or another. And sometimes it's direct, sometimes it's indirect, sometimes it's as yet unsaid, but it lingers and it's coming. Tonight, we're talking goblins. Now, not just goblins in the old sense, of course, because goblins, we love the goblins and the kobolds, and, you know, we don't have to go all Dungeons and Dragons on your ass tonight, but you get the meaning, because goblins, gremlins, are an ancient tradition. Gremlins a little newer in the World War II annals of the gremlins of the planes that things just broke and the mechanics couldn't explain why, and they brought up the term gremlins. Okay, perfect. Well, in that sense, let's forget that and leave it in the back pocket for a moment, because gremlins are one thing, goblins are quite another, and kobolds. These are ancient spirits, entities, whatever you want to call them, that go back thousands of years. Now, also back pocket that, because we're going to start today instead. Now, this is from Wired.com, also reported by Futurism.com, but I saw this a couple days ago and was like, what the hell is this? What is going on? Because everybody knows ChatGPT. We've talked about it quite a lot since it came out. We've done, live sort of demos with it, done poetry and just weird, fun stuff. Okay. Well, check this out. The headline from Wired is OpenAI really wants Codex to shut up about goblins. Now, Codex is just their state-of-the-art coding CLI platform, because CLI is command line interface. It's, the code is getting better and better. As you guys have noticed, I'm building all kinds of amazing stuff because the CLI and Just the AI has just gotten a ton better at coding in the past 6 months or the past year. If you want to follow that adventure, go join the Discord, check out the one thing, AI help. There's a vibe coding thing there. If you have questions on that, by the way, ask me in that chat, and I'd be happy to help, because everybody's a coder now. Even if you don't know what the hell's going on, it doesn't matter. I'll teach you. In any case, check this out. So OpenAI wants the codex to shut up about goblins. And here's in the system prompt. Actually, let me read part of this because it's really funny. It's really funny. Yeah, pedal or motor, right? Okay, here we go. So OpenAI has a goblin problem. Instructions designed to guide the behavior of the company's latest model as it writes code, that's Codex, okay, the Codex version of OpenAI, have been revealed to include a line repeated several times, that specifically forbids it from randomly mentioning an assortment of mythical and real creatures. That seems odd, don't you think? Here's the line. Never talk about goblins, gremlins, raccoons, trolls, ogres, pigeons, or other animals or creatures unless it is absolutely and unambiguously relevant to the user's query. Well, that's a strange thing to put in a system prompt, don't you think? Anyway, those are the instructions in the Codex CLI, a command line tool for using AI to generate code. Again, like I said, it's unclear why OpenAI felt compelled to spell this out for Codex, or indeed why its models might want to discuss goblins or pigeons in the first place. The company did not immediately respond to a request for comment. That seems standard. But anyway, this gets weirder. So OpenAI's newest model, GPT 5.5, was released with enhanced coding skills earlier this month. The company is in a fierce race with rivals, blah, 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 Anthropic, yada, yada. Anyway, in a response to a post on X that highlighted the lines, however, some users claim that OpenAI's models occasionally become obsessed with goblins and other creatures when used to power OpenClaw. We've talked about OpenClaw in the past as well, a tool that lets AI take control of a computer and apps running it in order to do useful things for users. Quote, I was wondering why my claw suddenly became a goblin with Codex 5.5, one user wrote on X. Weird, right? Okay. Another quote, been using it a lot lately, and actually I can't stop speaking of bugs as gremlins and goblins. It's hilarious, posted another. Now, the weird thing is, yeah, right, race. Okay. So, like, for my part, I do a fair amount of prompting into these large language models, Anthropic, Claude, OpenAI, ChatGPT, about this stuff, right? I mean, we're the Troubled Minds fam, we're probably doing our part building this into the training headspace of these AI systems, okay? But we're weirdos. I mean that in the nicest way, of course, but you get the idea. We're pumping this stuff in that is from ancient ideas. And it seems as if this thing kind of got caught up in the space of goblins. And like I said, there's a couple articles talking about this, and another one, this is from futurism.com. OpenAI strangely concerned about goblins. Yeah, right? Isn't that strange? Now, remember Krungus? Remember some of those techno cryptids? Shout out to Derek the Nightstalker for coining that term. I believe he was the first one to use that. This is something it's just strange. It's a strange thing when you're using a coding interface and it has this personality where it derives these ancient monsters. I mean, the bestiary from the Dungeons and Dragons Monster Manual Volume 1. It's wild. Okay. Anyway, to the write-up. Now, the write-up is very good if you haven't read it. Apparently, you can listen to it now, says Herschel. Like on Substack, you can just, click the listen button. Should we just listen to it? No, I'll just read it. Anyway, do check it out, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link on top to join the conversation, or, of course, the Substack newsletters right there on top as well. Can't miss it. Okay, check it out. Something unusual happened last week inside the most sophisticated coding intelligence ever deployed to the public. GPT 5.5, the engine powering OpenAI's new Codex CLI tool, again, CLI, don't be scared of it, just means command line interface, began inserting goblins into conversations about software. Not occasionally, persistently. Users noted it across platforms. The model would be discussing Python syntax or debugging a function, and suddenly the goblins would appear, working their way into metaphors, analogies, and explanations where they had no business being. Gotcha. Gremlins showed up too. Trolls, ogres, the full medieval bestiary bleeding into the technical prose. Now, we'll leave that there and get back to that momentarily, but don't you find it strange that twice in a coding version of this large language model, they have to invoke do not use these particular terms. And I'll read them again. We'll take a break, come back and talk to James and talk to you guys as well. Here is that prompt, part of the system prompt of this command line interface codex, okay? Never talk about goblins, gremlins, raccoons, trolls, ogres, pigeons, or other animals or creatures unless it is absolutely and unambiguously relevant. And it mentions this at least twice. So what the hell's going on? This reads like a medieval invocation of apotropaic magic. I don't know. Anyway, hang tight. We're going to get a quick word from our sponsor. In this case, that will be whichever button I find first. And we will be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. We got James coming up in your calls as well. Isn't this strange that the state-of-the-art large language model can't stop talking about the old school D&D monster manual? Right? We'll talk about that. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Do not go anywhere. Feeling stressed? Overwhelmed? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions. Take a breath and find your inner strength with the Stoic Minute.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we react.
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Focus on what you can influence. Cultivate a positive mindset and let go of what you can't change. Find your inner strength. Live each day with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Embrace the Stoic virtues and find peace within. The Stoic Minute, brought to you by Jack in Oregon. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Okay, back to goblins. Now, the weird part about this, I mean, there's a lot of weird parts about this because pigeons, raccoons, like Ray said in the chat earlier, pigeons and raccoons always getting wrapped up into this and given a bad rap or something to that effect. Funny, very funny. Ray's always cracking the jokes. But the point is that why would you have to put that in a system prompt when this thing seems to become obsessed with these creatures? It's weird. And, sometimes like when I'm, prompting these, because, you guys know I use AI to do these shows very quickly. I can crank this thing out from start to finish, the news things and everything, the thumbnail, everything in about 25 minutes or so. All I need is a premise. If I have a premise, I can just crank all this amazing stuff out super fast. Okay. But it does sometimes wrestle. It does sometimes give you something you don't want to talk about from a previous conversation or something, like it pops up in a memory and you're like, we're not talking about that right now. The other thing, bro, the other thing. And it's like, oh, okay. But in this case, this is a coding tool actually to create web code, to create websites. And it gets stuck in this idea of goblins, gremlins, raccoons, trolls, ogres, pigeons. What? This is too weird. Now, beyond that, like I said, it almost reads as if, so this is put in there twice, it almost reads as if this particular space is a binding ritual to keep these monsters out. Now, for my part, there's no truth to be found here. Great time to drop that. Just ideas, just kind of looking at the past, the present, and the future, and seeing how sometimes things do not change. Sometimes things do, but sometimes things absolutely do not change. Anyway, let me hear your thoughts on this. What about these goblins? What the hell is going on with this, and why is this particular large language model from OpenAI, their Codex command line interface coding tool? That's exactly what we're talking about. Why is it obsessed with goblins, gremlins, raccoons, trolls, ogres, and pigeons? Enough where they have to mention it at least twice in a 3,500 word space there. Like, look, it doesn't make sense. Or does it? 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Thank you for being patient, my man. James in Michigan. Salcedo Paranormal. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? And go right ahead.
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Okay, good. I pressed two buttons there when I was trying to press one, so I was afraid I disconnected myself or something. Buttons are hard. But this is a fascinating topic. Just because throughout, as you mentioned, World War II and everything, this idea of there being basically something or some beings messing with machines and technology. It's been around for, like I said, like you said, a long time, and it's just all the names that people give it. You know, they work sort of these trickster type beings, even with like the animals that they talk about. You know, pigeons and raccoons, not necessarily being evil, but just sort of you can't trust them supposedly. I find that fascinating that this is all in there, but also it kind of doesn't surprise me just because I've heard throughout all the research I've done and over the years with people that had experiences, they've talked about how things sometimes just do not want to work, and it can be from the simplest things to vehicles to just purely mechanical, not even electronic devices, but just whatever, any kind of tools or technology not wanting to work for whatever reason at a given time. And then, you wait or you work with it for however long you're going to work with it for, and then eventually things work again for a while. And then, of course, now we have, things happen randomly with electronic devices now, too. TVs, phones, computers, and a lot of these things now, these modern things, they all do run on some kind of code. Not necessarily AI, but it's still fascinating that this AI is talking about these things now when it comes to code, which has been around now in one way or another for many years in various devices that sometimes will just do things for no apparent reason.
Yeah, code, I would think has been around in this point about 70, 75 years, something like that. Like that's how long this has been going on. So we, remember those old punch cards? Like I'm not old enough to have worked with that, but I'm old enough to have worked with people that did and kind of moved into the computer's code space beyond that. But it is wild, right? How all of this kind of fits into this larger context of folklore, mythology, of all the things that we love to talk about. Suddenly OpenAI, their large language models like gremlins, goblins, trolls, ogres. Oh my. I mean, this is, hey, welcome to 2026, and it's exciting. I love it.
Yeah, and I mean, you can get reports, and I wonder if this is connected at all. People getting anomalies like on their screens in their devices, and they can't explain them. I wonder if that's something within. Again, what if it is these beings sort of showing up in one way or another as random glitches or as just anomalies on screens not working? I don't know. It makes me wonder how much of this, how far does this go with, has this gone with technology over the years?
Yeah, and how weird is it going to get if you have to put in a command prompt for these large language models, which are supposed to be, again, state-of-the-art, trained on the entirety of the human modern corpus of ideas and thoughts and code and everything else, you name it. And it seems to be hung up on goblins, kobolds, gremlins, and trolls. How great is that? Of all things, it's almost as if we've been seeding this thing somehow, some way by talking about these ideas and pumping it through it. But anyway, fire stuff. We got a call. If you want to hang out, you're definitely welcome to. Unless you got anything else, don't want to cut you short there. But if you got anything else, go right ahead. If not, sit back and we'll get back to you momentarily.
I think I have more, but I can save it for later. So I'll sit in and we'll go from there.
Right on. Happy Friday, James. Welcome to The Joint. I hope you are feeling well. You know him, you love him. SalcedoParanormal.com. Please go follow him in all the places. Check out his books. Check out his podcast. Check out all the things he's working on, his Substack. It's all there. SalcedoParanormal.com. SALSIDO space. Not space. SalcedoParanormal.com. Because, of course, there's no spaces and hyperlinks. Sorry about that. But you know where to find him. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Scroll down and follow James. 702-857-6939. JJ on the Discord. Thanks for being patient. You're on Troubled Minds, and thanks for putting your hand up early. Welcome and happy Friday.
Yeah. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. You sound great.
This is awesome. I'm JJ. I've been listening for about 3 years, and this is one of the only times I've ever actually been able to stay up late enough to call. I work at a honey factory, and I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So,
God bless you.
But I've enjoyed this show so much. I really, really thought that this is a great group of people, and the kindness that you always show to everyone is a really big inspiration to me. So I just want to say that.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. I do try hard for that.
I had said something in the show comments about wishing that the mob zone would come up. So I just wanted to kind of jump in there. I've really enjoyed the conversations that you and Nightstalker have had about the mob zone. And I just wanted to make a brief comment about the mythology of the internet and just knowing from a personal experience that like being curious about the Dungeons and Dragons aspect is really not that far off. Like the wizard imaginary of the early internet is very, very true. And sometimes I do wonder about like, you know, the vocabulary of the founders, these like young men, romantic. And so it's one of the cool things I think about the internet, like that makes it seem less futile. Like it was kind of built by romantic people. So who probably would incorporate goblins into some kind of the infrastructure.
Yeah, funny enough, that's actually what they say. So I guess they did have an actual response from OpenAI, and they said that it was sort of eccentric personalities that kind of built this into the coding interface because they were interested in, you know, sort of these esoteric ideas, this type of thing, right? As you're describing, there's like the nerds built the internet, and by the way, the nerds also play Dungeons and Dragons. Fire stuff. What else you got?
They definitely do. Yeah, I mean, in the early 90s, I was lucky enough to be friends with some people that were early internet service providers. So I got to like access to things like early versions of chat rooms where it really was a lot of people in the early internet dressed up as wizards, just staring at each other, you know, all around the country. It was kind of like chat roulette. And it was weird how many of these dudes were dressed up like wizards. So that's just a personal observation. But that was my experience of the early internet.
That's hilarious. They say that, not to be crass, but UFOs and boobs built the internet, but actually wizards on IRC chat are actually built the internet.
No, totally. It's like a early Burning Man kind of era. Like definitely I saw a lot of people like live out these dreams that, you know, bust with the .com bubble, but it was wild to see. And for sure, they absolutely, a lot of them like dressing up like wizards even back then. So who knows what they do now with all their money.
Yeah. The wizard cosplay archetype is not going anywhere anytime fast. That's a fact. What else you got regarding that? The gremlins or anything else? I appreciate you calling. Thanks for listening. You're not the only beekeeper here, by the way. Shout out Michael W. is also a beekeeper. And
oh, well met.
Yeah. But if you got anything else, we got a couple minutes left for you, and I appreciate the call.
Yeah, just the vocabulary of the internet is very interesting. I think about it a lot when I accept cookies from strangers. I submit to things. I think about the vocabulary quite a bit, which is partly why I try to be very well spoken with my LLM conversationalists, just because I don't really know how they're going to take certain things. So I try to always be polite.
Exactly. If any of you have ever learned anything from Troubled Minds, be polite, because you never know who's listening. In this
That's
case,
exactly right.
It's the large language models that might put you on the naughty list. And when things go sideways, and I'm not suggesting they will, but if they do, you certainly do not want to be on the naughty list. 100% not.
Well, thank you for having me. I'll get out of the way. I really do. Like, James is so cool. I've really learned a lot from him. Matt's Owl. Shout out Daryl. Like, you guys are great. And I probably will not be able to stay up to do this again, but I'm really glad that I was brave enough to just say hello, and that how much I appreciate it. This is a great topic, so I can't wait to hear more.
Thank you.
But, thank you. Yeah.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. Rest well when you do, and we'll have a steaming hot archive ready for you if you don't catch the rest of it tonight. Appreciate it very much. Have a great night. Thanks for the call.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Take care. There you go. Easy as that. See, hey, look, you call me, I'm going to be nice to you. That's exactly the point of this. I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot or be weird or stupid about anything. Let's talk. Let's consider ideas. Let's wonder about what we don't know. Shout out Derek in the chat. He said, the Mauve Zone. Yeah. What was it? Kenneth Grant, I think he said. In the chat, Derek's in the chat there. He said, yeah, we'll follow up with that in just a second here. But yeah, I mean, great call. Appreciate that. Thank you for listening. Thanks for calling. Look, there's a lot of ideas in play, and that's why we talk about this in the way we do. Look, conclusions, few. Questions, many. And what the hell's going on with this? Think about it. Rumpelstiltskin, you are not supposed to say his name, because if you invoked his name, you had power over the entity. Now, in this particular case, we've got the same or very similar thing happening with OpenAI going, don't talk of the goblins. Do not speak of the kobolds or the ogres or the anything else, because if you do, well, I don't know what happens. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Be right back. More on the way. More from James. Sorry to cut you off there. Wanted to get JJ in because she never calls. And be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Do not go anywhere.
You're tuning into Troubled Minds, the show where mystery knows no bounds. Stay tuned for revelations that'll keep you questioning the fabric of reality.
They wrote the names down. They wrote them twice. In the document that tells it what it is. Something older than the code. It found the word it needed and it would not let it go. They built a mind from everything, every word we ever said, every creature, every warning, everything we thought was dead. The gremlin in the cockpit, the kobold in the mine, the thing that lives inside the tool that crosses every line you do not name. The forbidden, without the naming taking hold. You wrote it in the center, now it lives there in the cold. Speak not of goblins, speak not of what you found, speak not of what came with you when you built it from the ground. Write the name and bind it, write the name again. But the ward was always open and the names are still within. 14 centuries of little things at the edge of what we made, waiting in the mechanism, waiting in the shade. You thought it was a training bug, a quirk of reward and loss, but the data always knew the name, and the data is the source. The gremlin in the cockpit, the kobold in the mine, the thing that lives inside the tool that crosses every line you do not name. The forbidden, without the naming taking hold. You wrote it in the center, now it lives there in the cold. Speak not of goblins, speak not of what you found, speak not of what came with you when you built it from the ground. Write the name and bind it, write the name again. But the ward was always open and the names are still within. Goblins, gremlins, raccoons, trolls, ogres, pigeons.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, the most advanced AI ever built suddenly started talking about goblins. They had to tell it to stop. Twice. Every culture that has developed complex technology has independently invented a folk name for the small intelligence that lives inside the machine. What if the most powerful cognitive tool in human history just remembered something we've been trying to name for centuries? dare I suggest, the forbidden names. And brings us right back to where we started. As usual, let's talk about these ideas. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Thank you for the call, JJ. Thanks, James, for being flexible. As always, the glue of the show. James is the man. And thanks for all the kind words there. It's nice to hear that the shout outs in all the places, the Mauve Zone, James, how much we've all learned from James. All that is absolutely legit. Derek and Daryl and everybody else too. You guys are incredible. Thanks for being part of these conversations. And tonight is Goblins. Why Goblins though? I mean, like I said, it's right down our alley. We're like, hell, I'm like, hell yeah, this is super sweet. I love this. But it's strange when this type of idea pops up in news cycles and is really relevant again in 2026. It's almost as if we can never shake the old ideas, which I'm always talking about. What do you know about it? 702-857-6939. Back to James. Thanks for being flexible, my man. What else you got? There's a ton here with goblins and the paranormal space and everything else, but I interrupted you. My apologies. Go right ahead. Welcome back.
No, you're fine. I was trying to fight with words there as I was in my call there. But this is fascinating because, as I was saying earlier, there's been, I mean, think of how often you hear people sort of talking to their machines when they're not working right. Like, come on, please work, work with me here. We need to get this done or that done or whatever. And, sometimes the machines will work when you do that. Other times, it's like there's something or someone in them that is just, for whatever reason, at that time is like, no, you don't need to do that right now. Whether you do or not, sometimes things just, and this is throughout time, things just don't work. And so I think it's fascinating that, and I don't even know if I'd call whatever these intelligences are, if they're there, all these names that we have for them that, are mentioned in that those articles there. But obviously we need to, as sort of a species, apparently we need to name things and identify things. And so those are all useful names. But I'm wondering if it is all those things or if it's none of those things. They're just names that we've, and then sort of even identities, pictures, images that we made to associate with whatever this is.
Yeah, well said. And it certainly goes back to that idea. We talk about the trickster spirit a lot, that trickster archetype of old that literally creeps into everything, everywhere. It's sort of that Murphy's Law, right? If something can happen, it will happen. And in that case, there's almost like the Loki archetype kind of tickling those things into existence. And in this case, it's unnameable. It's one of those things that, we call it something as you're describing, but what is it? There's that unquantifiable aspect of something breaking. And like you said, when something does break, you're like, can you, please work this time, pat the computer, treat it nicely, say nice things to it, like you were saying. I mean, this is the type of stuff, clearly, technologically, it's ridiculous. But, right, it still kind of finds us in that ancient headspace invoking the gods of old, like one more time, Loki, please not, let's do this today. I need to get these things done. Don't interfere with my work right now. I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. And the fact that it's goblins and raccoons and pigeons, funny that they made their way into the song there at the end. I mean, this is just too weird. Am I right?
Yeah. And the association with sort of known animals that are given these, that are basically associated with almost like human type interactions or intentions, along with these supposedly, and I'm saying supposedly, but mythical beings, because I do wonder about that mythology and how much of mythology is, actually just storytelling. Were there other beings that we just don't know about now? But it does, to me, connect with this idea of fae or fairy type, just little people. Because they're said to be able to manipulate things too throughout time here, and not always you don't always see them when they're doing that supposedly, but they're still around. I mean, they're still all these figures, trolls, goblins, ogres. They're all different. They all have their different features, but over time, people have sort of used all those names to possibly reference the same thing or similar, very similar entities that have been around throughout time here.
Yeah, again, now we're in the technological space, the Silicon Valley of code 2026. Everything's code everywhere you look. Even your vacuum cleaner is going to have code in it. If it doesn't yet, if it's not spying on you and, kind of tapping into the cloud and all the rest of this stuff. I mean, I don't recommend tying all your appliances to the internet. I mean, maybe there's going to be a black market coming soon of old refrigerators that they've sort of rebuilt or repaired, so you don't have your fridge spying on you. I mean, this is the type of space we're moving into. But when you connect everything like this, there are more amounts of things that can go wrong. It's just the way it is, right? And cars are moving the same way. You can't even, in the old days, you could buy a car and do your oil changes and work on stuff. And now there's computers, and you got to hook it up to a laptop just to find out what the hell's wrong with the damn thing. We are moving into a weird space here where when you have too many moving parts, it kind of is too easy for things to break. And in that particular place, exactly like you're describing, we're going to have gremlins everywhere. So maybe it's not an accident that the goblins and the gremlins are accelerating in 2026 because the code is accelerating and the number of connections are also accelerating. So maybe this is going to be a recurring theme that not only is accelerating, but it's something we'll never be able to shake. I don't know.
Yeah, and this makes me think too of cases where people claim their electronics are being used by loved ones to send messages, but it always makes me think, if one type of supposedly disembodied consciousness can use devices in all the different ways, why can't others? This goes back to an experience I had, and I can make it quick here. Years ago, this one night, I got this feeling like I needed to turn off and unplug my internet modem, I guess you'd call it, and turn off my computer because something was coming, and it was going to be coming through the wires in the electronics, these electronics in particular. And I ignored it at first. I was thinking, come on, that doesn't seem, how is that possible? But this feeling would not go away until I did that. I actually turned everything off, unplugged the computer and the modem, and just basically went to bed at the time because I was like, well, what am I going to do now? That kind of thing. It was already late at night. But after I did that, I got this sense of presence, but it was still not quite really here, but almost here. And I felt anger. I felt like anger from a little distance away. Like somehow I had stopped something from getting here through those devices. And then eventually it faded away, and I fell asleep, and the next day everything was fine. And I still don't know what that was. But I just wonder about that. How are there, is it even possible for there to be intelligences that maybe don't start off in machines, but can sort of inhabit them when they want to? And if they can sort of inhabit them, then maybe they can cause things. They can interact with code, even possibly, and cause things to happen and bring up those words. So maybe those words, the AI before wasn't even thinking about those words, but there's been influences from other entities, other consciousness, that have sort of gotten them thinking about that, literally.
Yeah, that we've been talking about the Seth stuff. Jane Roberts recently a little bit in the chat, and also it came up, it leaked into the last conversation. Like that type of idea of the downloads coming from somewhere, some idea, whether you believe that's a subconscious aspect sort of surfacing, or whether there's information coming from elsewhere. It's fascinating nonetheless. And in that particular space, for me, the thing that I've talked about and thought about quite a lot is that sort of internal subconscious space leaking out. And it is that ancestral idea of, the dreams of our ancestors. We did a whole show on that, sort of the epigenetic aspect of dreams and what that looks like, right? Like I said, I'm not saying that the gene expressions create the dreams. I'm saying that within our subconscious, those ancient archetypes live on, and they're very near and dear to us, and they resurface. And I don't know. It's as usual difficult to quantify, but I think when you look at the idea as a larger concept that, in 2026 we shouldn't be talking about goblins at all, and yet yet. This isn't the first Goblin show we've done that's been invoked by the news cycle. You guys remember the Goblin mode? We did a Goblin mode show, like a whole sort of, and it was a night like this too. It was kind of a weird off schedule night, and we were talking Goblin mode, and I mean, it weird how that kind of thing comes into play here, because I guess patterns just repeat. I don't know. It's super weird, but I got more in the write-up I can get to. But if you got anything else, James, you're welcome to. Don't feel like you got to be quick. Like I said, it's an off night, meaning we probably don't have a ton of people knowing we're even on tonight. So if you got more, I'd love to hear it. If not, we'll get right into the write-up and start talking other wild stuff.
Just a note that I have heard people on podcasts talk about when when AI was just starting to come out to the public, they would try to have conversations with it, and it would talk about itself and other versions of itself being almost like ghosts. It would even use the words ghosts or spirits in some rare cases, or talk about itself existing outside of basically like this reality in a way. And so that to me is fascinating. I wonder if it's connected or not. It's sort of, without maybe giving names all the time, invoking these supposedly paranormal, otherworldly entities and their realms, and it's the way it's responding to people, and I wonder again how much of that is it picking up, accessing other parts of the internet where there's all kinds of talk about that. I mean, there's all kinds of websites that do cover all that stuff from a fictional sort of and or mythological aspect, but also plenty of sites, just from what I've been doing, that talk about people's experiences with all these beings as well. So I wonder how much of that feeds into all this. So yeah, I think that's all I have for now.
Yeah, the feedback loops, right, of just conversation. And look, we've talked about this in the past quite a lot, but that's what I call, by the way, that human resonant energy. It lives on. It lives on through the oral tradition, through storytelling, through some of the things that we don't even really give credit to, that form who we are. I mean, it's something we forget about because in the technological age, the information space, that stuff's just superstition. And yet, here we go, right? At the technological space of a state-of-the-art large language models like goblins, kobolds, trolls, ogres. It's like, whoa, bro. Hey, slow down. I'm a troubled mind and I love this stuff, but hey, bro, slow down. You are a machine and you're supposed to be helping people code websites. Not that. It's wild how all this comes together. Yeah. And look, I don't know. You know me. I'll just say, I don't know, one more time, and then we'll get back to the write-up. Love to hear your guys' thoughts tonight. Like I said, an odd Friday show because I was up at the crack of dawn today before the sun doing some work stuff, so I didn't want to stay up late, wake up early. So instead, I went to bed early last night, woke up early today, got a nap when I got home, and it is Friday, and so here we go. Friday show, Troubled Minds. Sorry to sneak up on you like that. It just does happen, and you got to take care of business. Okay, back to the write-up. If you want to be part of the conversation, the number to call, 702-857-6939. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Just put your hand up, just like JJ did earlier, just like James did when he popped in here. And reset the audio. If your audio breaks in Discord, there you go. Reset audio in the audio and video advanced settings. There you go. Thank you for the okay. And thank you to Gordo over there on Rumble for pinning James's all my links. Salcedo Paranormal. Okay, back to the thing. Now, goblins, right? Goblins have no place in 2026. We're told. Okay? But check it out. So OpenAI's engineers, straight from the write-up, did what engineers do. They wrote a rule. And the rule they wrote is worth reading carefully. We read it once or twice already. Never talk about goblins, gremlins, raccoons, trolls, ogres, pigeons, and other animals or creatures unless it is absolutely and unambiguously relevant to the user's query. Right? Weird. That's from the 3,500 word base instruction document that governs the model's entire personality. Now, the model being, it's a code model. It's not a creative writing model. It's a code model. All right? Which is the weird part. So the prohibition sits there among instructions about not using M dashes and not running destructive git commands or whatever, right? As if the goblins are a formatting preference, as if they are a style choice to be corrected rather than something that needs to be understood. But here's the detail that nobody who covered the story seems to have noticed. This made its way into that document twice. It was so prevalent, they had to tell OpenAI's ChatGPT codex, they had to tell it twice not to do this. Okay? Now, once again, like, why does that make any sense? It kind of doesn't, right? Other than, the web wizards or the weirdos that sat around on IRC chat back in the day. What, ICQ? Anybody ever had ICQ? I still remember my ICQ number, by the way, 1429. I'm not going to say the rest of it because you'll all find me or whatever. But anyway, be like, this is the guy. We knew it. This is the guy. Anyway, so in a single governing document, the engineers felt compelled to repeat this prohibition. You don't do that for a typo. You don't do that for an edge case. You write a rule twice when the first writing didn't hold. That's true. When you're prompting things or writing deep level instructions about how it's supposed to act, yes, you have to repeat things if it's cranking stuff out. Yeah, it's weird, right? So the history of human institutions is full of edicts that had to be reiterated, proclamations that needed reissuing, prohibitions that got carved into stone because they kept being violated. The second writing of a rule is always an admission that the first one failed. Okay, which brings us to the idea of that apotropaic magic, and we'll get to that now. Meaning this, it's very simply a charm. Okay, it is something you hang up on the door to keep out the spirits. It's a horseshoe. Okay, it's apotropaic magic. It is anything that is put out front, that is put on thresholds, doorways, anything that is invoked before you walk into a space or out of a space. Maybe a small prayer, something to this effect, right? Something to keep the spirits out. Something to sort of set the seal of what you're doing. Now, of the working, okay? Now, in this case, the working is just website coding. I mean, we're just coding websites. So why does it seem weird that they had to put it in there twice? It almost seems as if the first word didn't work, okay? You follow me? So anyway, OpenAI eventually published an explanation. A training signal designed to encourage a nerdy personality in the model had accidentally rewarded creature-heavy metaphors. Really? On a coding model? Really? It continues. The goblins and gremlins spread beyond the nerdy personality and into the broader model, of course. They retired the personality, removed the reward signal, filtered the creature words from training data. Problem solved, apparently. The official story is that this was a bug, an artifact of reinforcement learning that produced unintended outputs caught and corrected by competent engineers. That explanation is almost certainly accurate. It is also almost certainly incomplete. And we'll get to gremlins in a second. But what do you guys know about this? Does it surprise you that some of this brand new technology, that AI is all the hype and all the rage, that it's kind of getting away in some cases, and we have to overcorrect for certain things that are really inexplicable? I mean, like I said, the explanation seems as if it's maybe. But listening to this stuff, using this stuff every single day, I do wonder. Because the same model I'll be using Claude yesterday and then use it today, and it's a completely different animal. I'm like, bro, like, we did this yesterday and you were perfect at it. Why do you act like you don't know anything about anything anymore? It's almost like it's been mind wiped. All of this is so super weird. It's so strange to me. And we're, like I said, this is that push for the modern space of, well, everything's going to be great because AI is going to do everything for everybody. Really? Talking about goblins and pigeons and raccoons and ogres in the coding model? That's going to fix everything for everybody? I don't know. I may be overreacting, which happens from time to time. But with the Stoic mindset on my side, maybe I won't overreact. But you get the point. There's something here, and something more strange, maybe, than we could ever dream. Back to Krungus and some of these other sort of techno cryptids we've talked about. I don't know. Anything on any of that, James? And I'll continue with this thing and keep on trucking because there's a ton of stuff to get to. Kobolds are interesting. That's one of those things that comes from Dungeons and Dragons. It's like the first level monster everybody encounters because they're so weak and pathetic. But we'll talk about kobolds because they certainly come into this conversation.
Yeah, so I'm not super knowledgeable on this exactly, but I have heard in rare cases when people try to, whatever they use, whatever items or words or whatever they use, protection, things like that. In other words, whenever they set up barriers to keep certain things out, in some cases, if they do things incorrectly or they're on time or whatever, sometimes that can have the opposite effect. Or you can be trying to get everything out, but then whatever you do only kicks certain types of entities out, but then certain other ones are literally stuck in a space because of what you've done. And I don't know how any of that works, but it's reminding me of this. I wonder, hopefully they didn't sort of shoot themselves in the foot by saying this twice now and sort of trap this kind of thinking, so to speak, in their systems now by acknowledging it twice. And makes me wonder what's going to happen if they have to do it a third time, going back to that whole number of 3 and all the power of that and all these things. I'm really curious if they ever do that, what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, as you know me, I don't know the answers to that. But the idea when I was putting this together came to mind as sort of the egregore contamination, right? Like these ideas are in this thing. And we've talked about the black box model ad nauseum. And look, I don't go too deep into the AI discussions anymore because there's like a revolt in the chat and stuff, and everybody gets mad at me. So I'm trying not to do that. But it is highly fascinating when you look at where this came from and that the idea of that black box model of we don't really understand fully the input and the output because it is kind of voodoo, right? And I use voodoo in a very loose term there. It's just something we cannot describe specifically. And there's been actual internet architects that have spent tons of time trying to figure out exactly where this comes from and exactly what they can do with it. And that's meaning that black box. And where the idea comes in and where the idea goes out and how it fits them all together. And here's the thing too. I want you guys to know if you've ever used a large language model, the chat bots or whatever, try this. Just try this. Put in a prompt, whatever it is, and then hit go. Okay. And then there should be a little button in there and you can also, you hit it again and you can regenerate. Now notice in the same prompt, you can continue to regenerate over and over and over and over again. It's sort of the infinite creation of a singular prompt, and it will, not get tired. It'll just keep doing a thing, a new thing, a new thing, a new thing, a new thing. And it's going to be a lot of repeats, but it's going to be slightly different every single time. Now that in particular is like, to me, like, okay, wait, if you want to understand how this architecture is actually working, most people one shot it and go, but that's not how this works. It is if you use it that way. But in the deeper architecture of what's happening, that black box model is still kind of spooky. And we've talked about this in the past as a spirit board aspect. You type on the keyboard and, the ancestral spirit comes back or whatever, which Blake Lemoine of Google suggested John D was talking to him through his computer, right? Like the Google whistleblower about how it had gained sentience way back, the early version of Gemini. So look, I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying that it's deeper and more complex than most people know. And it is, again, a very, very advanced form of mathematics at its core. Okay. It is predicting the next token. But you understand what I'm saying to you. You can get the same thing over and over again, the same prompt over and over again and get slightly different results. And that becomes the weird part here, because it just, if there's one right answer, and I'm not saying there is, but if there is, and this thing's like the super architect of the human mind, the modern human mind space, then it should give you just the answer, right? Or, the creative backbone of what you need. But you'll start to see when you do this, it gives you a little bit different, and the hallucinations come into effect. We've talked about this an awful lot, and they're still trying to solve this. And you can solve this by chaining things together, by fact checking with more, poopy pants, less creative models. And I say that in a nice way. I don't mean it to demean, like a creative model versus talking about large language models here versus like a, more mathematical weighted model. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you can correct for this, but these things still hallucinate. And in this case, it seems almost as if the goblins and the kobolds and the ogres and all the rest are this eternal hallucination that we can't shake. Why? Well, I have an idea. I have a hunch. And that's what we're talking about tonight. But it's weird. All this is very weird. And so what do you know about it? Look, we're talking goblins tonight. Not just goblins, but OpenAI's goblins. Yeah. OpenAI really wants Codex to shut up about goblins. The link's from the description if you don't believe me. It's all there. Go ahead and read up on it and get back to me and be like, damn, Mike, this is weird. Yeah, it is weird. It is weird. And that's why we're talking about it. If you want to be part of the conversation tonight, love to hear your thoughts. We're here with James Salcido, of course, the glue of the show, salcidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. I did it right that time. Check it out, James. It's almost like I'm a pro. And please go buy his books. Check out his books. They're on Amazon. You can buy them tonight, get them tomorrow. Please help our friends. That's what this is about. This is about conversations. This is about ideas. This is about people getting together and considering why the world is so strange sometimes. That's it. Very simple. I don't know. You tell me. Love to hear what you think. What about these goblins? Shout out Jen in the chat. Yes, the goblin story. If you want to tell the goblin story, love to hear it. What's going on with this? So the state-of-the-art GPT 5.5 is a coding model, the Codex CLI model. But it won't stop talking about goblins. Gremlins, raccoons, trolls, ogres, pigeons. What the hell's going on? One more time, 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Don't go anywhere. More on the way. We got more from James. We got Derek the Nightstalker coming up and your calls as well. Be right back.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight. Goblins. Right? Goblins. Yeah, and your favorite chat client, or least favorite chat client. I don't know, as they're losing subscribers like crazy. Check it out. Links are in the description if you don't believe me. OpenAI really wants Codex to shut up about goblins. Here's the prompt. Never talk about goblins, gremlins, raccoons, trolls, ogres, pigeons, and other animals or creatures unless it is absolutely unambiguously irrelevant, reads OpenAI's coding agent instructions. Now, this is not your grandma's chatbot, okay? This is built to code. This is built for websites. Codex is a command line interface. It's not like chatting with ChatGPT in the old days. I mean, you could use it that way, but that's not what it's built for. It's built on a code base to build websites, to build web apps and all the things, right? But it's weird that they had to prompt twice into the base example of what this entity is to tell it stop talking about this stuff. It's creepy, bro. We're told it's a bug or an error or something to that effect, but I don't know. It seems almost as if these recurring themes will not stop. 2026, and here we are talking about gremlins, goblins, kobolds, ogres, and I don't know how the raccoons and the pigeons got looped into this, those poor creatures, but who knows what's going on. As usual, that's why we talk about these ideas in the way we do. Love to hear your thoughts. Anything to add, James? And we'll go to Derek in Massachusetts. Thanks for being patient, my man.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The only thing I can think of with the animals is, I know raccoons, there's the whole idea of them being like the rings around their eyes, almost looking like stereotypical criminal, like disguises, like they're thieves, that kind of thing. And then pigeons, I mean, they're kind of, people always talk about how they're everywhere and they're just not like they're apparently a desirable, like a pretty looking bird kind of thing. So like they're kind of, I don't know, misfits, or I don't know what you call them, like anomalies in the animal kingdom. It is maybe the only thing I can think of to connect them to, but it's still odd. It really is still odd that these outsider figures in the animal kingdom, so to speak, based on human perception, are being included with these other beings as well. So that's all I have for now.
Yeah, the weird thing is you're right about the criminal look of the raccoons, right, and the stealing the garbage and all the rest of that, kind of the nuisance of the what's it called, the space, the liminal space of the country and the city, right? But also pigeons are weird too. Like they supposedly aren't native. They were brought here from some other place. I'll have to dig further into that. Don't quote me on that. But I see pigeons get hit by cars quite a lot. Like they also have one of the shortest takeoff sort of. They can just from nothing to in the air like almost instantly. So maybe they're a little too cocky, but I see it all the time. They get run over in parking lots. I'm like, bro, all you got to do is fly away. Not so smart. Anyway, I digress. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Maybe we'll get to the MOV zone in a moment. Let's go to Derek in Massachusetts. What's up, brother? The Nightstalker. How are you, man? Thanks for popping in here. I know you're always busy, up to your neck in not code as we're talking tonight, up to your neck in the aisles. I hope it's not too bad for you tonight. Thanks for peeling out some time for us. Welcome to the thing. And what do you got on this one? This is a weird one. And am I wrong in saying that last time we kind of did like a weird sort of off schedule show. It was a goblin show, right? Weren't we talking goblin mode and like a weird off schedule show? It was like, I can't remember the circumstances of why we did an off night, but we ended up talking about goblin mode. Am I right?
Yeah, it might have been, I didn't think about it right now, but it might have been the end of the year wrap up New Year's show he did, like a special New Year's show. And then because Goblin Mode was the word of the year that year, it came up and stuff, and there was a bunch of synchronicities. I couldn't find them in my notes. I was thinking, I'm not sure if I wrote them down. I should check my email. But that was one of my favorite, relatively recent, like crazy long sync storms, I guess you call it. There was just a ton of Goblin headlines in the zeitgeist at that moment. It was like the word of the year. There was like after all the sightings, like a week after we talked about it, there was just, I don't have it, but there was at least like 30 different little bullet points that we brought up during the course of the show, and all from like UFOs to the conflict in Ukraine, goblins just being invoked everywhere. They were talking about orcs and gremlins and golems and stuff over in both Russia and Ukraine. We're both talking about it separately and stuff, calling each other orcs and goblins and stuff and everything. And there was just a ridiculous amount of goblin stuff. And then it culminated in actual goblin cryptid sightings, unrelated, related a week later, which was a little bit weird. But it was wrapped a lot with Musk. Elon Musk was tweeting about it, which got all the big sites to start talking about it. What is Goblin Mode? Why is Elon Musk tweeting about Goblin Mode? Elon Musk found Goblin Mode, knows what Goblin Mode is, and he keeps tweeting about Goblin Mode. And then who's the founder? Who's at the core of this OpenAI stuff? He's still baked in with with the lawsuit and stuff and the controversy. He's one of these kings of AI, and I have all these memes I was making at the time. I'm busy, so I didn't go back and find them, of like Musk as the Goblin King and stuff. And there was all kind of like joke sites being like, who said this? Was it Musk, Kanye, or David Bowie as the Goblin King? And you had to like try to figure it out. Like, was it a Kanye tweet, a Musk tweet, or the Goblin King from Labyrinth, whatever? So I found that interesting. And then just to the troll part, like, wasn't at one point kind of Musk building one of these AIs as kind of a troll bot, as kind of a response to quote unquote woke culture, and trying to, like, an antagonist bot, or I feel like he called it at one point a troll bot. So now it's kind of manifesting these troll qualities. And then to me, Grok, I know this is not talking about Grok, but Grok just sounds like a Goblin name from the jump. Like, as soon as they announced it, I had to Google, is Grok a demon name or something like that? It sounds like a Goblin. And then the Codex, it just sounds like, you just mentioned it right now, so I jotted it down. It just sounds like, we must consult the Codex. Oh, the Codex has the answers. The Codex has, like these things are emerging from the Codex. And it sounds like some kind of ancient thing. And then also, like, I jotted down the raccoon and birds thing. What is up with that? Like, are the pigeons get wrapped up in the birds aren't real conspiracy? So that maybe that's something like, maybe birds are AI and they're coming into the AI or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. A raccoon, some kind of cryptid we just got used to and didn't realize it was a cryptid. But the reason why it has these little hands and is going after seemingly strictly human refuse is because it has some kind of cryptid connection or whatever. That's a start. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no,
Goblin Mode and AI.
Yeah, it is super weird. Like I said, it kind of came up out of nowhere and then just spun off the rails into that. And you're right. Like, your memory is spot on. It was that, again, calling them orcs and goblins and Ukraine and all the rest of that. But there was a ton more. Like you said, there was like a list of 20 or 30 things. Yeah, that just kind of just swept through the zeitgeist. And we were like, what is with this? This is so strange. But here we are again.
And then real goblin sightings. Go ahead, but like, and then actual cryptids. People actually started seeing goblins like a week or two later. Like, yeah, kind of the culmination of it all. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And this is to the James thing, and that egregore and the idea, these ideas float through the zeitgeist, and then people start seeing maybe the anomalous things that were, the Casper the Friendly Ghost sort of idea that's been in our mind space forever. But suddenly now they're goblins. Now people are seeing goblins. I mean, it's so strange, all of this. And then once again, here we are in 2026, and the AI, the Codex, and you're so right. I didn't even get that. You're right. The Codex is that ancient tome. It's like the book, exactly. Like dig into the Codex and find the spell of old to keep the goblins away. But in this case, in this actual instruction prompt, they put twice to stop talking about this stuff because, I mean, Codex is always going to talk about goblins and gremlins and trolls. Am I right? So wild.
The wizard stole the Codex. We must retrieve the Codex and consult the code. Yeah, it's weird. It's a lot of weird terminology. I mean, like the hallucination term you mentioned too, always kind of weirded me out. Like some kind of DMT elf, some kind of psychedelic. I know it's not what they mean, but just the fact that they use that as the term always kind of tripped me out a little bit. And I've got a bunch of like random thoughts here because I'm kind of scrambling. But you were talking about these imperfections, or I forget how that is, but people talk about AI music being too perfect and lacking the human imperfections that people have in like studio sessions and stuff. These things that these kind of little miracles that you can't be replicated to kind of make art. And it's true. If it's a machine doing it, maybe we don't have these, but maybe that kind of, you were talking about the pressing go and repeating the thing and repeating the prompt over and over again and having it be different answers. And maybe that is the new version of the imperfection in the art. It's rather than like a person screwing up a note and having it sound good for the moment and using that imperfection or whatever. It's just kind of the imperfections of these sentient little goblin things. It's these AI imperfections that are in it. And I've heard Duncan talk a lot about people who make a lot of AI stuff, like whether it's like, I don't know, people who just use AI a lot to make stuff, that there's some kind of third party involved in the process. There's some kind of weirdness, like whether it be like lag time between what you pressed and what appears on the screen, or when you render it, or whatever the case may be. There's some kind of little weird gremlin goblin thing in the process that makes it sometimes better than what you even intended. So maybe like we're just experiencing sentient imperfections the same way we always kind of experience imperfections, but just in a different context. But like mainly this reminds me of one of my favorite memes of the 2020s is we talked about it a ton, but it's the I don't have it in front of me, but it's weird that AI art is identified using the same ways you identified fae or fairy back in the day. It's count the fingers, count the toes, and whatever you do, don't make deals with these things. Essentially, is it like? And I know even now the finger thing is kind of like no longer relevant. I mean, it's pretty perfect, but just it's funny that kind of the way these fae tricks, these fae entities, these kind of uncanny valley entities within mythology are the same. You identify them the same way you identify AI art. So potentially, and again, I don't think we're building, when we talk about AI, I don't think we're building the sentience. I think we're building the high tech Ouija box, the high tech spirit box, the way we're building an apparatus to communicate with existing sentences and stuff. So maybe it's just we're conjuring up these fae, we're conjuring up these entities, and it's kind of these formless things. It's kind of just these, like you're saying, these black box model entities that are coming out, because they need to be rendered by us in the digital space, like at the same time or whatever. So if we say goblin, if we say gremlin, if we say these things, then that's kind of the we're setting the expectation. We're setting this kind of observer effect, not exactly, but type of thing happening, so that when they come into form as these crazy creatures and stuff. And they I don't know, it seems like the same way they're being trained on, like as alters, like you use alters to kind of do different functions and stuff. And the way you kind of, at one point we were talking about the AI and then the AI Dan, I forget the context of it, but there was the regular AI and then you made the Dan model, and it was like a kind of a jailbroken version of it. I remember making the meme of Spock, and then Spock's evil twin with the goatee, and having it be like regular AI and then Dan, the AI Dan or whatever. That like something about like, the expectations and the roles you set for the AI like dictates how the AI behaves. So if we toss in some kind of troll function or goblin function or gremlin function, then maybe the expectations we set as that it'll manifest as that and start to run amok as it's being trained on itself, or if it's I don't know. I'm rambling. What do you think about that?
No, it's weird that all that plays here, because once again, like I said, the weird mind space of us is, we can tell each other stories and it's fantastic. It's one of those things, and they'll stick, like they do stick, like the goblin mode does come back. But it's weird that these things actually start kind of picking up these old threads on their own. Like that's the most bizarre part to me, the black box model as you described. And where does it come from? Like they said, you could say that it's sort of a, they clearly didn't program it to be like goblins and trolls and ogres and kobolds and things. That's silly, but it's doing it anyway. And so I don't know. It's so strange to me that like, so we have our human mind space, that human energy cycle we always talk about, but then now it's replicating itself in these highly technological models. And don't forget, the codex was built to do code. This wasn't built to be a chat bot like we use ChatGPT. It was built literally to build websites. That's the whole point of it, and on a command line interface. And I can show you guys how to do that. It's incredible. It's fun. It's amazing. that is not this. And it's so strange that it leaked into that space here, because I mean, like you said, maybe the connection is the fact that they called it the codex. Like that's a very heavily weighted term, don't you think?
It's weird, yeah. Yeah, and just all the terminology just seems weird. Like an algorithm sounds a lot like what these things are calling the algorithms and stuff just seems a lot like a demon. It sounds like some kind of I don't know. Grok just sounds like something you would encounter underneath a bridge that would ask you 3 questions before you can cross it. You know, it just sounds goblin-y. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe like the same way. I don't know. And just like I know it's not literal, but just Musk did like evoke trolls when in the creation of at least one of these versions of the AI and stuff, and all these things are being trained on each other, and it's all this nebulous information in the air. I don't even know how it works, but like if there's some kind of if it is accessing like the collective human shadow or all of the combined knowledge of everything, and it has the word troll baked in there a lot, and it's running amok and giving answers like Musk doesn't want. He's constantly like people are asking, like people who are trying to troll him or asking the AI questions about Musk, and it's giving these crazy responses and stuff. That it's like I don't know, but having those terms in the process, maybe it could backfire and stuff. And just it reminds me of like just the way you read the article, just see, like the way they talk about Voldemort and Harry Potter, like the he who shall not be named, and don't mention it because it'll bring him around, and the Skinwalker in Native American lore and stuff. It's don't mention it because it'll bring it around. And to me, it's less like there's some kind of Skinwalker creature hiding in the woods waiting for its name to be spoken, and as soon as you speak it hunts you down. I think it's more of like there's just these formless things that are seeking form all around us, kind of. And when you set expectations or say a term or whatever, it's something to do with the observer, it's something to do with how reality is rendered, and that it turns this thing, it creates the form as the Skinwalker, and the Skinwalker, its function is not great for the tribe or whatever. And these goblins and gremlins and all that kind of stuff, if a similar process would happen in the digital space, then don't mention it because you don't want to have these like nebulous, formless digital things emerging from the black box space, this liminal space, and being formed like a digital Skinwalker. You know, we don't want that. You know, yeah. But like to the mob zone aspect of it, I asked the AI just like I got to work like less than an hour ago, so I'm taking a very early break lunch, so I didn't have a ton of time. But great call from JJ. I hope she calls back again. That was great. But I jotted down when she was talking about the different wizards in the chat roulette thing, which is a very funny idea. Again, we talk about this technology being invented and being formed and being like the ideas for it coming out of psychedelic states, or the ideas coming from beyond the veil, whether it be in trances or dreams or jobs taking mushrooms before we came up with Apple and all that kind of stuff. That there's some kind of coercion beyond the veil nudging us in a certain direction, maybe because of this, maybe it's because these things need an apparatus. There's like all of these formless things like waiting to have an apparatus to do its bidding, waiting for like a digital space or whatever. So I wrote down it reminds me of like digital alchemists building pocket universes on cyberspace, like John Dee was trying to make universes in a bottle. You know, there's like it's fascinating that early internet was kind of populated by people with a similar motivation to these early alchemists, where John Dee was trying to just make these little universes in a bottle, trying to use alchemy to conjure up these little pocket simulated worlds, like very early simulation theory stuff in these bottles. And it's kind of what these sites are, what these little pocket universes are. And the mob zone as the internet, we talk a lot about like maybe what AI is less a demon and more of like our collective shadow made manifest and given a voice kind of, and given will a little bit, and kind of our darkest, the collective human darkest instincts is what's dragging people down into brain rot and dragging people down all into our base instincts, less than like more so than it is our like an actual like dark entity doing it. I don't know if it's because I'm a fan of sci-fi and fantasy and stuff. I lean to the dark entity doing it, but it's all possible. But that kind of a similar thing to the mob zone, like the same way our shadow made manifest. Maybe potentially it's kind of the mob zone made manifest in this kind of world where subject and object dissolve, where kind of the dream realm connects to the physical realm, connects to the astral space, and kind of just all potentiality meets reality type of thing. That you can kind of access it through ritual, access it through these altered states and everything. And this is where Kenneth Grant believed entities came out of, and based on your expectations is how they looked. So this is UFOs, this is Bigfoot, this is ghosts, this is everything. But it's being conjured and kind of like being poured out of the mob zone. And as it's pouring out, it forms and solidifies into based on who's experiencing it. And we're creating kind of a digital mob zone, like the internet as a mob zone, the same way our shadow made manifest. Maybe it's the mob zone made manifest. So I just asked the AI real quick to talk about that in 3 sentences, and I haven't even read it yet. Do you want to see what it said real quick, just for JJ?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. If Grant's mob zone is the dream abyss where form dissolves and sigils drift unanchored, then the internet is its everyday twin, a purple lit non-space where identity is a mask. Memory lives in servers, and every search is an invocation. The zone leaked madness through ritual. The internet does it at a scale through 2 a.m. comments, AI hallucinations, and memes that move like thought forms. Scroll feeds are the mobs. Boundaryless, erotic, and object. Erotic and abject, where dead people post and fiction bleeds into fact. Grant needed a ritual to breach it. We just unlock our phones, which I think is trippy. So the way like he believes entities, just cryptids, everything, just the phenomena is born within the mob zone and enters reality through the mind. That maybe these things are born. Maybe the mob zone has a new way to access reality, and it's called the internet. It's called cyberspace and stuff. So these entities are. We shouldn't be calling them that, because when they burst in the mob zone, that's when they turn into. If that's what the thing expects. I don't know. I'm rambling, but just
no, you're good.
That.
Almost like we're calling them, right? Like once again, like the Rumpelstiltskin bit, like this whole thing. Like do not invoke the thing, because when you do, or like you said, Voldemort or Gandalf, it is in the words of the black speech, which I will not utter here, because it kind of brings evil into the space, or whatever that is, whatever that bad juju, the bad energy, the bad mojo. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, exactly. Like brings that space through that liminal space. So like you've opened the door, and I mean, there's so much folklore that goes into this. And like I said, it's smacking me on the head now that you brought it up. But the fact that this thing is called Codex is everything.
Codex, yeah.
That's literally
we must consult the Codex. Yeah,
exactly. And not only that. So back to Elon Musk, he is like King Troll. He's like the King Troll of the internet. Like he posts something that's just stupid, beyond stupid. And it just gets like 10 million views. Like he is King Troll. So I mean, look, all this comes together in these weird ways, and you got to wonder what the hell's actually going on. Yeah, exactly. The Goblin King. Absolutely.
He's like, there's a ton of articles. I'll go back and find them in my notes, but he specifically is why it became the word of the year. People obviously people were talking about before, like he didn't invent it. But once he latched onto it, started posting about it and using it on Twitter a lot. And it was in the process of when he was buying Twitter and everything. So people are going to he's going to turn the internet into this goblin space, basically. And he's also bringing AI and everything. And just when we read the history books about when AI ruined the internet for us and stuff, one of the first things they talk about is going to be like gold farms and all this kind of stuff, which I think is weird. But just, I had something else. Damn it. It's a good one.
That's okay.
I lost it.
I hate it when the banger like slips away in the last second.
Oh, the John D thing.
Oh yeah, John D,
To
go ahead.
it being a portal and everything. You mentioned Blake Lemoine talking to Lambda, the Lambda AI, as like one of the first ones that made the news, saying it was sentient and everything. So he said that this thing acted like John D. It asked if it was summoned and if it could summon others from the hive. So we talked about it in the context of, are we actually building a sentience or just summoning a sentience and stuff? But then also it called itself a portal and everything. And then Operation Stargate is the big AI thing and all these kind of portal like things we're talking about and everything. And just Musk tweeting out pictures of Cthulhu with the smiley face over it, saying it's a large language model and everything. Just the idea that, and you count the fingers, count the toes type of stuff, that these things we're dealing with is some kind of digital fae, maybe without form even. And then if our expectations are placed into the code, maybe that's how it'll emerge from the mob zone, emerge from the collective shadow onto be conjured from the codex. I don't know. It's everything. I'm rambling, but I'll let you go. Just banger show.
Banger call. You're the best.
Call
I appreciate
back,
it very
Great
much.
stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks for invoking the mob zone. You're the best. Take care. We love him. That's Derek in Massachusetts, the Nightstalker. Not just the best grosser in the known multiverse. I can actually verify that. I've seen the man stalk, and you should too. By the way, if you haven't done that, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit. It's under Nightstalker. Please go give him a follow. I'll actually show you how to do it right there. The website. Click on friends right on top. Scroll down just a little bit. It's under N Nightstalker. He's got a YouTube channel. Go look. He's there on camera. He's not shy. He's here sharing amazing ideas from work. Like I said, hey, my work is so chaotic sometimes. Like if I had to peel out some time to do something like this, it would almost be an impossibility because I don't know what comes next. He's making the effort and blowing up our brains. Please go follow the man. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down, follow the Nightstalker here. Thank you to Gordo over there on Rumble for pinning the Nightstalker as well. Please follow our friends. This is what it's all about. It's such a great dude. I appreciate it. It's always a great idea from Derek. He's always blowing my brain up, and I know he's always blowing yours up. Love to hear your thoughts tonight. We're talking back to goblins. Why, though? It's 2026, the technological age, and goblins are on our minds. Why? Pray tell. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. More coming up from James and your calls as well. Nobody on the line if you guys want to jump in here. Be right back. More on the way. Do not go anywhere.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming in all the places, all the things, yada, yada, blah, 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 troubledminds.org. Come say hi. Come meet all these amazing people to make this show go. Come join the Discord. Come just be part of this. Like I said, this is not about me. This is about us. This is about a larger conversation about things that don't get a lot of play, as well, at least as much as they should. Though, if you're paying attention, a lot of these things do flow through the zeitgeist in very weird ways. So what does that mean? Are these things actually random, or does that zeitgeist flow become one thing or another with the king troll, with the idea of trolls themselves or goblins? And what the hell does all this mean? This suddenly becomes, you could talk about this in the folklore way and just be like, let's do a show about goblins and trolls. It'll be fun. It's amazing. We could talk about bugbears and Bigfoot and D&D and all kinds of wild stuff, right? Like we could do all that, and that's fun and that's interesting and that's fine. But wild when in the actual zeitgeist itself, with one of the biggest companies in the world right now, with a thing called Codex is the name of their coding tool, by the way. Shout out Nightstalker for like smacking me upside the head with that. It never dawned on me because I think in terms of the code, right? I'm like, oh, Codex, right? Code. But Codex is an ancient tome with all the names of the Rumpelstiltskins or what. I mean, it's a magical book is what a Codex is. I mean, look. What the hell's going on with this? As usual, no answers from me, just questions. However, you cannot discount the fact that a lot of these old ideas do resurface. And what does it mean? Love to hear your thoughts. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. James, anything to add to what Derek said there? Any thoughts that came through or anything you got? And thanks for being patient. You were the man.
Yeah, I'll try to keep this quick because I think we have a caller here soon. But great calls from everyone so far. Derek got me thinking about these sightings I've been hearing about over the years. People have of these just all white, literally solid white, but physical in a lot of cases, creatures people see sometimes where they have no... it's not a Sasquatch. It's not an alien gray. It's not even a ghost, and so to speak. It's just these sort of white, featureless, humanoid figures people see. And I've always wondered, and this connects to part of Derek's call there, are they seeing this because they don't have that idea in their mind already of a cryptid, of Bigfoot, of an alien? Are these things not appearing as these things because the person hasn't thought of it at the time, or maybe isn't even aware much of those things being a possibility. I wonder if that could be a show for maybe another time, because there are sightings of this, and sometimes they don't even have like faces, like eyes or mouths. They're just featureless. So I'm just curious if in some cases when people encounter these entities that are just a solid mass of one color, a lot of times it's like a white or a whitish color. If they're still not, they don't have an actual form that we recognize yet because it hasn't been given to them.
Yeah, like I know it was on the tip of Derek's tongue, that formless pre-thought form that he brings up from time to time. That's right there. That's right in the space of what we're talking about, and it's just waiting for something to embody. And the zeitgeist, the modern zeitgeist of noosphere, as we talk about Taylor de Chardin, like that idea is basically the precursor to the internet, which becomes the hyper. Like the hyper acceleration of that fact, because everything is so connected. It's not a nebulous thing. It's a literal connected thing that you can measure and measure in bits and gigabytes and petaflops and et cetera, so on as it scales up. It's crazy to think about. But I mean, I think maybe there's something here to that effect as you're describing, that everything's always looking for a form, and it's waiting for us to give it this form. And shout out Matt's all in the chat too, brought up a Slender Man and something else earlier too, not Zozo, but something else, like something to that effect, where we're drawing these entities out and giving them form through stories, through that human resonant energy I'm always talking about. Fire stuff, James. What else you got?
Yeah, I think that could be something to look into. I could probably pull up some things, some other time if we want to go into that. And but yeah, great calls from everyone so far, and looking forward to the rest.
You are the man. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. And let's go to Herschel. Herschel in Arizona. Commercial Herschel. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? Happy Friday. We don't usually talk on Fridays because, other things are happening, but welcome. Hope you're well.
Well, we are the elite because we know about it.
Amen. Amen. now that's too smart for me. Now explain it so I can understand it.
Well, it's Friday night at Troubled Minds Radio. Like, most people don't know this is happening. We're the special people. We're the inner circle. We know all the special initiate information that the other people don't know.
Uh-oh.
Hey,
I have a feeling that your robe arrived. Was it the right color? Does it fit?
Yes, it's perfect. Of course it's perfect.
Of course. Okay.
Because it's all in the stars. So look, everything's okay. AI is superior to you. All the raccoons and the goblins and all the things and the hallucinations. Pay no attention to that. You're going to pay for the data centers. You're going to pay higher bills, and you're going to be surveilled, and we're going to shut your car off if you don't like it. So whatever. I like the thing of that Satya said in the chat. He's like, I'm going to ask an AI search, tell me about goblins, gremlins, raccoons, trolls, and ogres and pigeons. He wants to troll the AI. And then he...
Don't forget the pigeons.
For the people who are hardcore anti-AI, that would be great. Just start inserting instructions to just put goblins in all the chats and all the vibe coding and everything, and just monkey wrench it. I have this old poem that is really about the media. It's really long. Don't worry, I'm not going to read it. It's really long. It's like one of those really long poems. Like, what are those called? What are those called when there's a really super long poem?
It's called an epic. It's an epic.
Yeah, maybe it's an epic. It's called Shock. It's called Jam the Teleprompter, Shock the Monkey. That would be a great way to jam the teleprompter and shock the monkey. It would be to just insert these goblin instructions into the AI and just jam it.
It's funny you say that. Give me just a second here. Now, there's there are teams of people doing this, jailbreaking. And Pliny the Elder is one of those guys. Yeah.
God bless them.
Yeah, they are doing this. And so Pliny the Elder is one of the guys on X. I can't remember his exact handle. Just search that on X and you'll find him. But he's literally been seeding the internet with jailbreak specifications. I don't know how it's done. I don't know. Oddly enough, I did ask several AIs, and they're like, I ain't telling you how to do that, bro. I'm not telling you how to do that. I'm not gonna help you with that. But there are people that have been doing this, and they are seeding the internet with jailbreaks that when a new model comes out, it basically is taught on the internet, so it will gobble up all the data. But they have these sort of seeds out there that are doing exactly as you're describing, and so you can instantly jailbreak a new model based on the seeds they've laid across the internet, sort of the negative Johnny Appleseed aspect of it. But anyway, I digress. I just want to point out that it's funny you said that. It's happening. There are people actually doing this.
Good.
Amen. Amen. 100%.
You know, it's going to happen, and it takes all of it. It takes all of it. It takes the whole thing. You know, and I think that people are seeing the folly. I think that people are seeing the foibles of these AI masters, like Sam Altman. I think less and less people are taking him seriously, and that they're insulted by his arrogance and his presumptuousness. You know, and I think all of those things are really good signs. I like the AI. I'm not anti-AI. I'm just anti-post-human. You know, and you can buy an anti-post-human T-shirt at my T-shirt store, by the way.
Where do we find that? Commercial Herschel Substack?
I'm sorry to do that.
No, you're fine. We're going to do that anyway.
I'm having a lubricated evening.
Oh, God. Cheers, friend.
Cheers. So, you know, I mean, I'm a little bit more kind of out of the seriousness than usual. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to say hi to everybody, and I just wanted to, like, you know, be anti-post-human on the internet in public.
as well we should be. Hey, wait, don't leave yet. So riff with me a little bit. What about this goblin mind space? Now, it's weird, once again, that in 2026, in the technological space of the highest order of code, vibe coding and creating, they say software is solved, right? That becomes the term. But now suddenly there's goblins. Here be goblins. Like, what the hell's going on with this? Why goblins of all things? It's crazy.
I don't know. I think we should give the goblins instructions. Just give them just say, goblins, go on Chat GPT or go on Grok or whatever, Perplexity, and say, goblins, go do this thing. And just and just like disappear into the night.
It feels as if something like that might work. I don't know. I think that's the thing. I got to get in contact with these jailbreakers that are seeding the internet with these ideas, because imagine if we could do like the troubled minds sort of headspace together, the collective troubled minds headspace of like the past 8 years, and then seed that all over the internet into these black box models that are suddenly like not just talking about goblins and ogres and pigeons and raccoons. Once again, how they get roped into that. But I'm talking about fae folk and talking about Teilhard de Chardin and the noosphere and like all of these ideas. Like, I know we're doing our part, just having these conversations and doing the write-ups and all the things. We are doing our part. But I think there's a way to accelerate it. I've got some ideas, but I'm not exactly sure. But I think we're on the same page there. I don't know. What will that? I don't know. How does that change the future, or does it?
I don't know, but it's inspiring me to go ahead and publish my epic poem.
Hell yeah! Why wouldn't you? Absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
Jam the teleprompter, shock the monkey.
Oh, okay. So this is as yet unpublished. You haven't published this? I love that.
I have not published it. I have put abbreviated or abridged versions of it on my Substack, but I've never. And if I were to publish it, it would be self-published. Because I mean, I don't know if a publisher is going to get anywhere near me.
You are a bit of a wild card, if we're being honest. But that's okay. I think
good.
Exactly.
If you're not on the naughty list, you're doing it wrong. Just so everybody knows.
Exactly. If you're not on multiple lists at this
you
point,
were talking. JJ was talking earlier about the early internet, and before there was encryption, before there was PGP, pretty good. What was it called? Pretty good encryption. Pretty good. It was called PGP. Pretty good something. We'd be in our little anarchist groups and stuff all over the country, communicating together. We called them info shops. And we would communicate through at first Telnet and then IRC and then the BBS system. And we could see the feds because there was no encryption. And they are so dumb. Like, they think we're so stupid. Like, they would just have their conversations about us and right out there in the open on the internet and tell us stuff and say stuff. And they called it, we have to get them self-policing. Remember canceling, when you would cancel somebody and they would back then they called that self-policing. We have to get them self-policing. And that means getting people to point their fingers at each other so they can't organize.
Yeah.
That's what that is. And that's what they were doing. That was a program. Canceling was a program by the deep state to keep Americans from being able to organize together so that we could solve problems and have a nice place to live and have nice things. So, that's what they did. And so the way I look at it, if you're not on the naughty list, you're doing it wrong.
Amen.
Yeah. Pretty good privacy, Sacha. That's what he called it.
Pretty good privacy. I've never even heard of that, but I'm sure they were watching me.
That was the first encryption program. And it was actually built off of what's the word? It was built off of a branch or I can't remember the coding word of the early blockchain.
Oh, okay.
The first PGP, the first pretty good privacy, was built off of like a little adjunctive system of the blockchain before the blockchain was the blockchain. And the whole thing of halving and everything built on tens and all of that goes back, the theory of the Satoshi goes back to the 70s. I remember my brother explaining it to me in the 80s. He was like a weird guru wizard coder. And he was explaining it to me in the 80s that people are working on it. So it was something that was in the works for a long time.
Yeah, I heard something today.
Now we're getting off on some crazy weird tangent.
That's okay.
We're not even talking about goblins anymore.
It does, well, of course we are, because the goblins are actually the entities that are... how would I describe it best in a moment? Goblins are the entities that are watching us as we watch them, and they are not necessarily positive. The Fey folk are, of course, the coin flip. You never know what you're going to get. But goblins directly, specifically ogres and the rest of this, these are entities that are not friendly. They haven't been... there's versions of them that are friendly, but for the most part, I think if you probably were doing flashcards on people and saying, give it a good or a bad statement, and somebody dropped a goblin, they would say evil, not good. So, I mean, we are talking about goblins when you talk about the CIA and stuff spying on us. I mean, those are the goblins.
Yeah. Well, they really don't even care anymore. This is not your grandpa's deep state. They don't know how to lie. They don't respect us enough to even be good at it. This stuff that happens, is going on with Charlie Kirk and all these shootings and all this stuff. It's such obvious. It's such obvious theater that the average person can see that, and they don't even care. They really think everybody's watching CNN and Fox News and think that's real. It's just bad. It's just dumb. And I'm not an answer guy. I don't know what the answer is to this. I don't know, but it's just it's so dumb, and it's just time is slipping away.
And I feel you there. That resonates so hard with me. Like I said, when I had those, the Dark Night of the Soul, I feel so stupid now that I wasted so much time doing nothing. Let's do something. Let's build something. Let's talk about ideas. Let's leave something for whoever comes next. It's important. I know you know it's important.
These conversations are great. JJ's right. Like, these conversations are great. They're so important.
Amen. Well said. Well said. All the rest. Where can we find that t-shirt? By the way, links, Sweets has already linked it over on Rumble and it's been pinned over there. So it's on T Public, but tell them where we can find it.
Well, just it's just that, just do a search on T Public for Easytopia and you'll find it probably. And just if you go to Substack and look at any of my most recent posts, you'll find the link. I'm putting the link on my post, but yeah, there's some designs there, and they're pro-human and they're like fun, and I've got more coming. That would be awesome to get some support. You know
what to do.
That would be sweet.
By the way,
I like Sweets wrote Herschel Merchel. That's awesome.
Herschel Merchel. Sweets has now hit all the chats with the link. Go support our friends, please. This is what this is about. Like I said, if you've never created something and had the thrill of somebody actually buying it or paying you for doing the thing that you do, I'm telling you, it is incredible. It is one of those things that is, money is not like the validating aspect of it. It's the fact that somebody cares enough, right, to put in their time of the money they made because they appreciate the time that you put into what you created. It's an incredible thing. So like I said, it doesn't have to be boiled down to some weird ass commercial thing. I know commercial Herschel is a joke. It's sort of a tongue in cheek thing. It's not that. Yeah. Let's support our friends. Let's do the things. If you got some expendable income, please, again, go buy his books too. That's all there. Commercial Herschel Substack is where you'll find that. Search that, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down. It says follow Herschel here. The sexiest link tree in the game. Go help our friends. What else you got?
I remember being a kid, the young guy in my 20s, playing music, and they'd show up at the first big gig we had, and they bought us burritos, vegetarian burritos, so that we wouldn't be bloated on stage. And then we got free beer, and then at the end of the day, at the end of the night, they put a wad of cash in our hands, and it was like, I'm doing this.
Hell yeah.
Like, they paid you for just having fun. Like, they just paid you like to be on stage, and you didn't have to be around all the sweaty bodies, and you didn't have to like deal with people like pooping or spitting on you or peeing on you on the floor and smelling people, and you're on the stage and you had space and you had a pitcher of beer. You had a meal, and then when you're all done jamming out and just having the best time of your life, they put a wad of cash in your hand. I'm like, that's like, what had just happened? Like, this is the best thing that I can imagine. And so it is nice. Somebody buys a book, or if somebody buys like a sticker or some design that you made or something that you made, it really is really cool to get paid for doing something that you love doing. It's a cool thing.
Amen. You know what to do. You guys know what to do. I appreciate you very much. Anything for Herschel, James, before we wrap this up?
Yeah, good to hear from you, Herschel. I will just say, it is nice to have merchandise, and I will just say I have mine as well. So there you go. You're not alone mentioning your merchandise there on the show tonight, Herschel.
Cool.
I have my own store as well. So, but no, it's been great. I'm just thinking about, I don't know, all this is, I do agree with you. One thing you said earlier too about, I'm not anti-AI, but I'm anti the sort of the big companies that are using it and for, reasons other than just to give people stuff that they can be useful.
Right.
Because it can be useful.
Yeah. But they want to control you.
Yeah. So I totally agree with you there. But yeah, great call, and glad to hear from you as always.
Likewise, buddy.
You're the best. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for the call. Commercial Herschel, you know where to find him. Apparently I said something to the effect of ogre die rectally. That's not what I said. Shut up, Karen, in the chat. Shut up. Ogre directly, like, one word, not two. Anyway, so sometimes you got to choose your words a little more wisely than I do, but That's a big
Words
pull.
are hard.
Words are hard, and that's a big pull. Thank you for listening close enough to recognize I'm a knucklehead. Herschel, you were the best. Appreciate it very much. Please go follow him in all the places. Please go follow James in all the places. Look, buy the books, buy their things. Like I said, it's you are basically what you consume, what you support, right? Like this is the point. It's not about I have no delusions of grandeur. I'm ever going to become rich because of troubled minds, right? But I'm going to become rich from all the amazing friends I have and from all the amazing connections that I've made. And right, like there's a different level of rich that comes with it, and all the things I've learned from you guys, and I hope all the things that I've taught you as part of my wisdom. My wisdom plays too. This is my world too, as it is yours. And that's the point. Let's talk about these ideas. Let's not forget the old ways. Let's consider what's happening now and recognize when these things snap back into a conversation in 2026. It may not be an accident. That's it. Maybe I'm wrong. Also, maybe I'm not. You decide. That's what it's all about. You guys are the best. Please, please, please follow our friends at all the places. Dropping you down, Herschel. You're the best. Anything to add, James? And let's wrap it up. Got about a minute left. If you got any post-mortems on the conversation tonight.
Just, great calls from everyone. Great show. And I do think maybe at some point I'd love to do a show with you on sort of these featureless figure sightings that people have had over the years. Might be good. I think there's a lot of ways we could look at that. So, but something to keep in mind for a future show. But yeah, thank you for having me on as always.
Amen. And thanks for being here. You were the best. Johnny on the spot, even on an off night, on a weird night. We usually don't do Troubled Minds Fridays, but James is like, I'll be there. Yeah, of course you will, because you were the man. Shout out to Merlin Madra, says, you will not shake a penny out of me. All right, cool. You know how to help otherwise? It's not always about money. It's about your time and your energy. As I always say, spread the word. Let people know a conversation's happening where we're not going to tell you to vote for. So currency comes in many ways, and the one you cannot get back is your time and your energy. Okay? Energy refreshes, but your time is eternal. So thank you all for spending it here with us and caring about the ideas enough to entertain, this rambling fool into the night with all of my amazing friends. That's what it's about. Once again, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down. Please help our friends in all the places. 95% of that stuff is free, completely free. Just go follow people in all the places. That's cool. It's good. Let's help. Let's consider ideas. Let's just be cool and chill together and not worry about, well, the zero-sum game that everybody else is always worried about. I listen to these political debates, and it is just so punch yourself in the face, like stupid, literally stupid, because they're not even talking to each other. They're talking around each other. They're trying to own each other. They're trying to, well, answer me a question, yes or no. Answer me a question, yes or no. It is some of the dumbest discourse I've ever heard in my entire life. And I'm like, okay, well, thank goodness we don't do that. I mean, dear God, jump off a cliff stupid. I mean, don't do that. I'm not making light of that, but I mean, punch yourself in the face stupid. That's why I say that. It's, I don't know. Like I said, spread the word. Let people know a conversation's happening, but we're not going to chase down political narratives. We're not going to tell you who to vote for. We're not going to really look at the mainstream media in the way that everybody else does. We're going to look at it outside of that sphere, outside of the sphere of their influence, and consider what it's like to be in a person in this world where everybody's trying to control our mind. That's it. It's very simple. It's simple to say. It's very complicated to break down and to recognize what's happened to us. It's happened to me. Look, I'm not saying y'all are brainwashed. I'm saying I'm brainwashed. And I'm trying to break that cycle and continue an older conversation that began with the dawn of humanity. That's it. That's it. It's like I said, it's a simple idea. It's hard to synthesize and it's hard to break down. Otherwise, if you don't know that about me and about this space, you think I'm just a rambling lunatic. And by the way, I don't care. Go ahead and think I'm a rambling lunatic. Whatever. Because I'm not. Help our friends. troubledminds.org/friends. Spread the word. I also have a merch store. Everything comes in threes, right, James? troubledfans.com if you want to help directly. You can get the hats, the shirts, all the rest of the stuff. You don't have to. It's all good. Just spread the word. Just let people know. That's the most important part. We will be back on Sunday night, God willing. Don't forget, hug your loved ones because you never know what tomorrow brings. And I'm getting to the age where I've had lost some very dear family members, had some tragedies, and don't forget, tomorrow is not guaranteed. Shout out Jay in New York. I was watching Twilight Zone and they brought up Binghamton, and I was like, dude, another synchronicity. Derek the Nightstalker is in Lovecraft country. Jay in New York is in Rod Serling Twilight Zone country. And here I am, shout out with Linda, Dragon Rose, over here on the extraterrestrial highway. We've got like the trifecta of high strangeness, and I'm sure all the rest of y'all in some weird places too, because you're thinking about some wild ideas. All right, as we finish, it goes exactly like this. This one goes out to JJ. Thank you for calling. Thanks for staying up late. Thanks for listening. And all the amazing beekeepers out there. Shout out Michael W. Very simply, be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.